it's very hard to get phone numbers. You have to be really clever and figure out how to do it. This person might be at this bar, so I guess I'm gonna call this bar and see if they know this person or they go there sometimes.
Chasing means finding the right person to tell a story or finding a great story from a person. Out in the open is a big conversation about one big topic, explored through many different ways and many different people.
Chase producing is so important for this show because we're trying to get to that level of intimacy, we're trying to get to that level of storytelling, and so it's really important to get guests who can do that, who can sort of deliver on telling their stories, and who are at their core good storytellers.
What chase producing is, for me, is just calling people all the time and not stopping calling people all the time. And then when they say no, you say, come on, there's gotta be another way. Let's just talk on the phone for 10 minutes. And then when you get them on the phone, then they go, okay, fine, or whatever.
The way I describe my job is that I look for people who can tell good stories. So I basically look for guests on the show and then try to convince them to come on.
If I talk to you about this, what story does that drive into, sort of set up essentially? Or if they're a more reflective, quote unquote, analytical kind of perspective.
I was working as an investigative journalist at a newspaper in Houston, Texas. In print, you interview somebody and then you take out the best things that they said or the best ideas, or you just get a bunch of facts. But radio, you rely so much on that person being able to tell something in an engaging way, so they have to be good at talking. In radio, you can't write around it. So I feel like the new job or the new part of chasing requires you to think about how this person speaks and what their personality is like, how well they're gonna get along with Pia, what their dynamic is going to be like, and if they're super nervous, how do you make them less nervous?
You have to be tenacious in that you will not stop. You just have to keep figuring out what their phone number is. However you got to figure out what their phone number is, you just keep working at it. So tenacity is very important. And then when they say no, you have to go back and work it and try to work it around. Charismatic because when you get them on the phone, they have to like you, they have to want to help you, they want to, you have to put them at ease, and that telling their story is not going to be the worst thing that they've ever done in their life. It's like their stories they worked on were incredible. Like they're just buried in a weird wall. Yeah. It only comes out when we die.
People who think of Chase producers think of them as super gregarious, super outgoing people. I don't consider myself that. When I make a phone call, I always have to psych myself up to actually talk to people. You don't have to be that personality as long as you're curious. I think that's the most important thing, is that if you're curious about someone else, when you talk to them, all of the anxiety will go away.
I think it's also really important to be nice. I think that our job, we're asking a lot of people. We're asking them sometimes to take us to the moment you lost your husband. It's really important to be a good person, to be a good journalist. I think you have to really be understanding that you're taking people's time, you're taking people's emotional energy sometimes, or their professional, what they've learned or studied their whole life. And so you're asking a big favor.
But literally once you get somebody on the phone, in my experience, it's like a handful of times they've ever said no. So you just literally have to convince them to go on the phone with you, or you have to get their number and call them. And that's why calling is, for me anyways, has been so important.